A legit chance to move on to the college football playoffs. You see the results of what happened. The big ones, Georgia getting upset by Alabama today in Atlanta, the SEC championship game. Florida with a narrow win over Louisville to remain unbeaten. Here is a look at the Big Noon Kickoff consensus playoff projection. And yes, we have Michigan up at number 1, undefeated Washington at number 2, followed by Big 12 champ Texas, SEC champ Alabama. What you're missing? Former number 1 team Georgia and unbeaten Florida State. With that, let's welcome in our college football guru, the Bear. Chris Felica, do you believe Florida State and Georgia will both be left out tomorrow when the playoff committee sends us their Final Four?
I do. If you look at Florida State the last 2 weeks, that is what the Florida State resume is. It's not what happened with Jordan Travis the first 11 weeks of the year. It's what's happened the last 2 weeks with Brock Glenn and Rodemaker at quarterback. That's the Florida State you're going to get moving forward. Offensively, they're basically Iowa. They were inept tonight. They were inept last week. And I just think if you can't put that team in the playoff, the committee has that guideline in there, availability of players. It's clear that Florida State, without Jordan Travis, isn't a top 4 team. It's sad. It's terrible. But you're telling me to go ask Jim Harbaugh in the locker room right now. Who would he rather play next week, Alabama or Florida State with the backup quarterback? What's he going to say? Put some truth here, man. But I think the fact that Alabama won that game today, that was a massive boost for Texas, because you can't take Alabama without taking Texas. I think Alabama and Texas will both be in, and I think Georgia's going to make that drop from 1 to 4. Yeah, 12-1. Yeah, 2-time defending champion, but they're not a conference champion. I think it ultimately will be the thing that keeps them out.
Interesting perspective, Chris. Thank you very much. And again, Texas sitting up there as a potential 3 seed over Alabama. Again, the head-to-head factor going in favor of Texas with that win in Tuscaloosa. The 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. Is that the way you see it right now? Again, with Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama.
It's the way I see it. I think you could make a case maybe for Washington to be number 1 based on their strength of schedule this season, how well they've played too, and what they've looked like in comparison to maybe Michigan, the way they battled today. But the Florida State debate is going to be interesting. It's unprecedented. It's crazy to think that the way that team has built back through so much adversity to win and go undefeated. But again, the problem is that strength of schedule. So I think you'd have to look at where they're at now without Jordan Travis. It's hard to make a case that they are one of the 4 best teams. Definitely one of the 4 most deserving, but probably not one of the 4 best.
Yeah, I agree. And today was essentially in the conference championships. It was a playoff elimination game starting today. But when you look at the Power 5 conference champions, out the SEC, out the Big 12, out the Big 10, out the PAC, and out the ACC, clearly, we just watched it in the green room. The ACC has the weakest conference champion, in my opinion. They went undefeated. They do deserve it. But if you're looking at having the best 4 teams in the college football playoff, I don't think they're including that right now, even though they had the undefeated resume. Without Jordan Travis, man, they just don't look. They just don't look like, it's sad. It's devastating. To be honest, they're not one of the 4 best teams. And the 4 best teams have to go to the playoff. That's what the people deserve.
The people.
They deserve to see you eat more shrimp on national television. I think the interesting one is Georgia, guys. Just the number 1 team all throughout the playoff. They lose a good game against Alabama. Like, the argument for them to still be in the top 4 is there. I get what Bear is saying. I think you take Bama and Texas have to go in together. But I think there's an argument for number 1. And by the way, whoever's 1 is probably going to play your Crimson Tide at 4. I don't know if they want to see that.
Nobody wants to see that.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. Again, I'm an agreement, Coach, with the Florida State argument. Deserving, yes, but are they 4 best team? Not right now.
No, they're not. We watched them for the last 3 hours. They're just not. Congratulations to Coach Norvell and that team, what they've done. To stand in front of that team, say you did everything I asked you to do, but it didn't happen. I want to talk about this, and that is Texas. Alabama cannot go in the top 4 without Texas. You can't do that. That can't happen, or you're going to see schedules go from not good to pathetic. I would walk into our AD and said, we're done. We're not playing any good teams, because if you don't get rewarded for arguably the best win of the season, or one of the top 2 wins of the season, Texas went to Tuscaloosa and won big.
Second best win of the season. They went to Tuscaloosa when Tuscaloosa wasn't. Bama wasn't then who they are now.
Well, and that's part of the conversation. Alabama now is not what Alabama was in the beginning of the season when we saw Bama in South Florida struggle with USF.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.